And Heathen Talk is live.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Heathen Talk episode 19, or so I'm told. And tonight we're talking about shit and stuff.
Whatever. We did this once before. We're doing another meta show.
Yeah, we're just kind of talking.
I called it Twas the night before Giftmas.
It's a good name.
Well, you know, it's a pretty good time of year for us to just be completely self-involved, right?
Oh, man.
Talk about nothing but ourselves.
I'm excited to talk about, if they're not me, at least mine. So we get that going for us.
Well, yeah. I know I'll be talking about mine. I always enjoy that.
I don't plan on talking.
Too late, you already talked.
Damn it.
I doubt it. Well, we're definitely going to be talking about some stuff we've got going on.
It's true.
Because shameless self-promotion, man.
But, Lauren.
Josh.
How's the Yule store doing?
Yule store is doing great. Still have a few vendors who are offering. If you'll look, it'll tell you how long their coupon is good for, but there's a few vendors that are offering it through the end of the year. So if you want to go and buy something, it's yule.heathentalk.com. There's tons of great vendors. My own personal favorite, co-host of the upcoming podcast, Sheathenry, with me, my friend Danielle Shelton. Her book, Sheathenry, is available there, as well as her website where she makes felted sculptures and clothing, and there's lots of really great vendors. So if you haven't looked yet, please check it out. It's yule.heathentalk.com, and of course you can always go to heathentalk.com and look at all kinds of our fun stuff. We've got a user map, or not user map, that would be on the subreddit. We have a listener map. We have a link to our chat. We have just a lot of stuff. Lots of links, lots of really good resources, and blog posts. I've actually got a blog post about the hammerite that I kept meaning to try to get put up, and it's...
Lauren, I want you to do me a favor.
What?
Once you do get that blog post about the hammerite, there's a thread on the subreddit that needs more primary sources than my ramblings.
Okay.
It's about the hammerite versus the hammer hollowing.
So, you know, speaking of felted... Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, speaking of felted sculptures, I just want to make sure everybody understands how cool those things are. Like, I've seen a lot of really cool ones. I almost got a few this year because there's a place close to me, a local joint that sells, like, felted Christmas ornaments, which sounds really weird until you look at, you know, an owl that I was definitely going to call Talby if I bought it, that I still may go back and get because it's amazing. Also, Josh should turn his camera on for a second because I received a gift in the mail today.
Bear with me.
I do want to say that felted stuff is expensive, and I know this because I'm learning it right now, and it's hard. It's really hard. And it is pretty expensive with supplies. So, yeah. So don't So talk, Josh. Or actually, no, Josh. It's not gonna.
Here, I got you.
Hang on. Oh, wait. I got this. Okay. Figured out. Josh, go.
Figure out the things.
Okay.
So yeah, it's very difficult, but I think Lauren's got it handled. So if everybody wants to look at this was a gift from a very good friend, from Kevin. Some of you know him they go to the subreddit. This is Aolad. He sent me a wool felted tomta to be in my home.
So great.
It's freaking amazing. I love this thing, and I needed to make sure everybody knew that despite what he tries to convince people of on the subreddit, he's really a big softie who loves his friends. So this is in my home now, and you should all envy me for it.
Yes, I got a very lovely Yule card from him. Got a lot of great Yule cards from people, and really, really appreciate those for people who have sent them out. Mine may have gone in the mail today because
Days are hard.
Well, it's not just that. It's just between school and work and the podcast stuff and my kindred and like the lead up to Mother's Night was like brutal for me. Because we've just been so busy with everything, but especially just trying to get everything ready because we had a lot of stuff planned, and also trying to work around the weather, and where we didn't know if we were going to have tornadoes or an ice storm. True story, we had both last Saturday night.
Not at the same time, right?
Within about 2 hours of each other.
Did you have an ice NATO?
No, we didn't have an ice NATO, but we did have both, and so we had to actually cut some of our Yule festivities short because we didn't want anybody to get stuck, because I live down in a valley and you can't really get out of my neighborhood when it's iced. So I got mine sent out today, but yeah, it was really cool to be able to like have all of that, and like just I'm excited. I've made a lot of handmade stuff for my kindred, and I didn't say this on here because hell, Aaron doesn't listen to this. My godson, who's my kindred brother's son, I got him a Heathen book that's written by an author that our executive producer Mark is friends with. Really good book. That's another thing I have written that I need to actually publish or haven't gotten there yet. And then I found these little storybooks called Norse, of course. And they're little like stick figure illustrated, but in like a really cute way, retellings of all the Norse myths.
Nice.
So I bought him some of those, and I was pretty excited about it. Not gonna lie, because
real quick, I want to interject and apologize on air. My cards have not gone out, not even a little bit.
He hasn't even bothered to hand deliver the one to me, and he's sitting in my living room right now.
I'm really bad at holidays.
Now, I say that while also having to, stipulate the fact that I didn't send a single card to anybody this year because I am worse than any of you at holidays. My wife is pointing out that I never send cards. I'm going to try to rectify that next year. I mean, and I say that every year. And every year I do the same thing where I'm getting close to the holiday times, and I kind of hit this critical date where I'm like, well, if I send them now, my cards are going to arrive after you. So this year I'm collecting together addresses, and I think maybe I'll just buy cards randomly piecemeal throughout the year. I'll be writing Yule cards in June, but I'll just keep them in a stack somewhere tomorrow and just mail them all out.
Good strategy.
Well, when you're me, it's probably the only strategy because I'm bad at it. Which is amazing because my mother sends out like 300 Christmas cards a year. She sends out so many that sometimes she forgets to address them personally. On at least 2 occasions, I've received the impersonal, regular everybody Christmas card from my mom, and it's always hilarious to me because I know her method of having just like a stack of them.
well, I got a chocolate bar Christmas card today, which is quite possibly the best holiday card I've gotten this year so far. Except
Was a chocolate bar Christmas card.
Was it a card made of chocolate?
it was a card that like the front. It's like a card, and the back cardstock. It's printed so that like it's a label that wraps around the chocolate bar.
Nice.
And so you open it, and and I got it from one of my clients at work, but still, it was like, yes, these are awesome. I love the holidays.
I say the best I've got, as far as that kind of stuff goes, is I had to buy it myself, but I've got a 5-pound chocolate bar. 5 pounds of dark chocolate. It's one of the few times I'm really not that ashamed of a purchase at Trader Joe's. Because it's kind of delicious.
You people and your shame of Trader Joe's, and I'm like, oh God, if we only had a Trader Joe's here.
Well, the shame of Trader Joe's is that, when you live in an area like this, shopping at a place like Trader Joe's or Whole Paycheck just makes you a shameless yuppie most of the time. But, there's the fact that it's literally the closest grocery store to me right now. It's like within walking distance. And I had gone out earlier in the day to get all my fixins to make my glug with. And one of those things I bought was ginger. And apparently, unbeknownst to me, and I didn't find this out until I had gone to Trader Joe's, there is an issue with the ginger crop this year. And randomly, depending on where you get it, sometimes you get ginger that you don't see anything on it when you buy it, but, you know, it might end up, sitting in a drawer for a single day, and you pull it out and it's covered in mold flecks.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what happened. Is the place that I bought it from apparently had some of that infected ginger, and I pulled it out the next day to do my glug, and there I have a moldy piece of ginger. And I was sitting in my pajamas and really having no interest in going out anywhere or doing anything other than sitting at home and making my house smell like Christmas. And I needed ginger, so I just walked over to Trader Joe's in my slippers and my pajamas. And while I was there, I saw a 5-pound dark chocolate bar, and I was like, there's no universe in which I don't require this.
See, I just have all these food allergies, so having somewhere like Trader Joe's would be fabulous because they have things like like coconut milk creamer for $1.50 instead of $5 like it is here.
And if you're going to shop at any of those stores of that ilk, I'd say that's probably the better one to shop at because, it's not, significantly overpriced like Whole Paycheck is.
Yeah, so we have Natural Grocers and we have Whole Paycheck, and then we've got a local place, but they only have dry goods. They don't really have they don't have any, they have frozen and they have dry goods. They don't have any refrigerated, so.
Right. We've got Trader Joe's, and we've got PCC, which is probably also more or a higher price than it ought to be, but it's not as bad as Whole Paycheck. We've got Grocery Outlet, or Gross Out as it's known locally, and
there's nothing wrong with Grocery Outlet.
No, there's nothing wrong with
spam hot dogs from Grocery Outlet.
There's nothing wrong with Grocery Outlet. The problem with Grocery Outlet is it's really hit and miss on getting anything you want there because they're kind of like the Big Lots of grocery stores.
I love
You can also
Big
get a
Lots.
6-pack of beer for $1 at Grocery Outlet.
They get a lot of amazing things there for amazing prices, but they don't necessarily have it when you want it. You just have to go there and hope.
Also, just to clarify, $1 6-pack of beer is not an amazing thing nor an amazing price.
$1 6-pack of beer is the beer that you buy when you need to use beer for something that's like non-consumable, like slug traps.
See, I'm not even sure it's gonna be good for slug traps. At that point, it's so close to water.
Well, okay, I'm going to say this too, though. Sometimes they get really good beer for really cheap. Like the Gross Out in downtown Seattle, which I didn't even know existed until relatively recently when, I had to take my friend Matt there on our way home from work. I walked in there and got a bottle of Dogfish Head's Cavassier for like $8. That's a $16 beer. And I got it for $8. That's pretty phenomenal.
So, speaking of beers and drinks,
Yes,
can we do our toast?
we can.
All right. Tonight's toast recipient, we do like to toast people who are getting out and doing heathenry. So
We actually have one this month.
we have one, and it's I know Torrin usually likes us to toast a single person, but tough. I don't care because we're going to be toasting a whole kindred because I don't know. Like a particular name, but and this is to Oak Hearth Kindred. They are in I cannot pronounce. Okay, I'm going to butcher the pronunciation of this, and I apologize, but Volusia County in Florida, and they collected
Volusia County.
Volusia County. Okay, they collected 162 pounds of food for the Second Harvest Food Bank. That's a lot. And like they posted this on Reddit, and I was looking at their picture where they had delivered it, and I mean it's a lot. So kudos to you guys.
Any of it was like bread and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean kudos to you guys for doing that. I know that it's not easy to get that thing together, kind of thing together. It's a super busy time of year, and we all have our own shit going on. So it's pretty exciting that you would do that, and so I want to raise a bottle to you guys for getting out there and improving the worth and the reputation of your kindred. So,
Oakhurst.
what you drinking, Josh?
Well, Torrin and I are actually sharing a bottle of oak-aged Noble Rot by Dogfish Head.
Noble Rot is a delicious beer. It's actually got, grape in it, which is... Dogfish Head is seriously the only brewery I've ever met that's managed to include grape in a beer and not completely suck. But it's sort of like a beer for wine drinkers in a lot of ways. And this is, of course, the oak-aged version, which makes it even better.
And having tasted this for the first time, I can tell you this is a winey beer versus a winey beer.
But for those of you that do get into the more esoteric and hipstery beers, it's not like a beer that's been aged in a wine barrel. It's definitely a beer that has wine as part of its production, and it's amazing. So what are you drinking, Lauren?
I am drinking a Sonoma Cider Sarsaparilla Vanilla. It's called the Washboard, and it's quite lovely. Let's see if that'll actually zoom in on that. Oh, no, that's all right. Because it's not... Oh, that's why. Hang on, sorry. I've been zoomed in on Josh the whole time.
It must be very boring since it's just a picture of my face.
All right, so it's really good. In general, Sonoma ciders are pretty dry. So if you're not a fan of dry cider, you probably won't like it. But I like it. It's got a really good. It's vanilla without being vanilla, like kill you vanilla. And
Vanilla's really easy to overdo too. So
yeah, it is. It's vanilla's like clove. It is. Vanilla's like clove. It can go really, really good or really, really bad, depending on. It can be like there's that line there, and it's so easy to go completely across that line, especially with clove, when you can go from something nice to a dental antiseptic.
yeah.
The first time I ever had anything with clove in it was actually Christmas Eve when I was like 8. My mom made crock pot punch. And you take the orange and you put the cloves in it and you put it in the thing with the stuff. And in my cup, I got a clove and I didn't know what it was. So I bit into it.
Oh.
It was the most terrifying, horrible experience of 6-year-old Josh's life.
Oh.
Mm.
I've since learned there are worse things, but not many.
You know, I do my glug every year, which includes clove and a little bit of cinnamon. So I've got years of experience of not overdoing those spices. And I did even brew a beer once that had both of them in it, and managed not to kill it. But it's really a hard line to tread with both of those, because you just kind of hit. Like you're making a beer or an alcoholic beverage of some sort. The vanilla is a really good thing to serve to. You're like, wow, this is smooth. This is a little bit smoother. This is almost perfect. And then, bam, it tastes like you're eating a vanilla bean, and you just done fucked it all up.
Well, I have a friend who passed away a couple of years ago, but he was a master mead maker. I mean, there is no. I have never met someone who could compare to Ken. His mead was just, and I've had a lot of it, but he was a master, the best I've had, and I used to make this mead called Hell's Kiss, and it had clove in it. And the one time that anyone I know has ever tried to replicate it, you would drink like a sip of it and your mouth would be numb.
Huh.
It's just like, yeah, I don't think you did it right. I could be wrong, but I don't think it's supposed to be able to be used for toothaches.
All right. Word of advice: don't try to watch the live stream and be part of the call at the same time. That was terrifying.
Yeah, there's a lag. There's a little lag there, and I do it sometimes just because I check the chat and whatnot. Since we are hopefully after the first of the year, we will have a new producer. But until then, you know.
Just like to point out, everybody keeps talking about how shitty 2016 was. The same holds true for us. This was a rough year for Heathen Talk.
The sophomore slump.
Yeah.
We're going to come back harder and stronger in our junior year.
Yeah, I mean,
As soon as I find a better job with a better schedule and can actually do things, or figure out a way to not suck at life, then yeah.
I'm making Josh find a better job this year.
well, I mean, for me, it's just just trying to balance school and work and the kindred and my husband, and especially with it being my senior year in school, and I'm taking, like, this past semester, I took advanced database, advanced programming, advanced Excel. There were a lot of advanced before most of my classes. So I spent, another 20 to 25 hours a week studying. And there was just not enough hours in the day.
But can you leave a basket underwater? Because if you had gone to Evergreen College up here, you would definitely know how to do that.
No, but I can program stuff. However, I am actually using Heathen Talk as part of my senior project, my capstone. So hopefully by the end of this semester, my capstone is going to involve building an app for Heathen Talk. So,
that's right, kiddos. You can tell your parents this is an educational show.
This is an educational show.
As long as you're one of the hosts.
Right.
In college.
Hey, I wrote a management paper about Josh. And I got an A on it.
If you listen to Heathen Talk, you're contributing to the education of a disabled American.
Yeah, really. Because, oh, God. But this semester is going to be a lot easier.
Lauren, so you know.
Yeah. This semester is going to be a lot easier. I'm very fortunate that with the new podcast we're doing, Danielle's taking on a lion's share of the work. I pretty much have to show up for that one. I get to be Torin, basically, for this one.
And
and
the show where they get to be Torin.
I've got one, hopefully too soon.
No, you actually have to do work on that one.
Yeah, a little bit, I guess.
No,
but I will.
You actually have to do work on that one.
I will say this though, if you're listening to me, and you're interested in contributing to and furthering heathenry, and would not mind doing some audio editing, please.
Reminds me, Lauren, I have a homework assignment for you. Send me homework assignments.
We can do that. Because
I have tomorrow and Monday off, so.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Josh better.
Hey, I'm all for it. But in all seriousness, if you have, guys, we're kind of rambling tonight because it's Christmas Eve and we weren't even going to do a show tonight, but.
Well, it's a meta show. We did one before.
It is. It's super meta. But
and it sucks to be you.
I'll be honest with you guys, the thing that makes Heathen Talk what it is, and the thing that I think helps us more than anything is when you guys give us ideas. When you guys give us feedback, good or bad, that's like legitimate feedback, not oh my God, you like horrible names that I get called because
For instance, calling me a cuck does not help the show at all.
Telling me I'm wrong and then telling me why I'm wrong with actual legitimate thought, that actually helps. But if you got ideas, people you want us to toast, if you have Hell, I don't know. At this point, just, let us know if you want to contribute. We're listening. So by all means, show up, help us out.
Yeah. So, how was your holiday, Lauren? I know you guys had a Yule party.
It was a lot of fun. We got to visit a lot. We got started later than we'd planned because one of my kindred brothers was supposed to be off work at 7 and didn't get off work till 9 because customers suck. And so we had fun. We had our very traditional Mother's Night dinner of dirty rice, along with fancy cheese.
I haven't had good dirty rice in a long time.
Well, that it's really a shame for you because my husband makes the best dirty rice.
So what you're saying is I need to come out and visit.
Absolutely. So I married a good man. He can cook and he can fix things and he can unload the car.
He's Lauren's Lauren.
He really is. So
I appreciate tonight's dinner, Lauren. I've got Josh over at my house right now because we're having a dinner for people who aren't going home for their families on Christmas Eve because they don't want to, or maybe because they're really far away.
I'm just saying,
too.
Like it's 12 hours for me to get home. Well, no, to get to my mom's home. My home is like 20 minutes away.
But we're doing a nice mustard and brown sugar glazed ham with collard greens and black eyed peas and cornbread. Apparently, my wife just told me.
Oh, now I'm super excited.
I didn't realize there was cornbread coming, so now I'm pretty excited too. I love cornbread.
I'm a cornbread fan. It's one of those things that I feel lucky to be able to have, still, because for the most part you can make cornbread and not have to worry about gluten as long as you're not using a packaged thing.
Right. We had delicious cornbread at my Yule party that I threw. One of my friends brought. Brought this last year. It didn't work out as well last year because he tried to make a big pan of it, and it was so crumbly that you just had to kind of grab fingers full of it as you passed by the pan. This year he made it muffin style, so you could have your own piece. But he makes that like a cranberry bacon cornbread, and it's pretty fantastic. Not bacon bits, real bacon in it. Also, for everybody, I apologize for the noise. The dinner I referenced a minute ago is actually being made, and them's the breaks when you podcast from your living room. So,
yeah, we're gonna do the traditional beans and cornbread and greens. Although we did have a lively debate about what the proper greens were to eat on New Year's Eve as a kindred.
Collard?
Well.
So was there a question?
Yeah, because Ben says turnip. I say Ben is wrong. I say mustard. And so that was the debate. And it's probably going to be mustard greens because I'm cooking it.
Nobody argues the cook.
And
Cook makes the decisions,
right?
This is something I kind of wanted to talk about this for a second because I found it interesting. I'm part of a group right now, kind of a working group, and we're all pretty local to each other, heathens in various kindreds that are pretty theologically aligned. Mm-hmm. We all tend to have pretty much the same idea about what heathenry is.
Right.
And as a result, we've kind of are trying to build this Ozark tradition through research, and we've got a lot of primary documents, and we're sifting through all that. So that kind of brings me back to New Year's. New Year's is one of those. New Year's Eve is kind of a big thing, is becoming a big thing with my kindred because it's a big thing here. Eating a certain meal on New Year's after the new year. So we'll eat a certain meal after midnight.
Right.
You have to have pork jowl. You have to have carrots, sliced carrots. You have to have greens. You have to have black-eyed peas.
Okay.
And each one of those has a different meaning in what it's supposed to bring to your upcoming year. So if you don't have, so you kind of have to have all of them to ensure that you have financial prosperity, you have luck, you have all of these various things that are important. Health. The pork jaw is for health. The greens and the sliced carrots are for wealth, and then the peas are for luck. So, that's like that right to me is when you're doing stuff like that. To me, that is like the quintessential like example of regional heathenry. Because in other places, they do completely different things as far as what they eat and all that kind of stuff, or what they do, what their New Year rituals are.
Yeah.
I mean, the idea of, I'm sure somebody, who's not from the South, if I said pork jowl, they're either going to say, what? Or they're going to be like, ugh.
I'm just going to take the Andrew Zimmern approach. There's a lot of good meat on the face, and you should eat more face.
Yes.
I mean, honestly, the idea of throwing away any part that has meat on it is just really silly to me.
Well, and then
but I've tried it.
With the pork jowl, but the thing with like pork jowl is not only do you have the meat, you also have that really good bone that imparts a lot of flavor.
And the fat.
Yeah, and the fat.
Loves me some fat.
I mean, I'm pretty excited. I actually did. What did I cook? I actually cooked some mustard greens in salt pork and rendered down some salt pork really slowly last week, and that was pretty good.
Speaking of fat, I was simultaneously excited and disappointed this year. My tribe, we do wild boar every year for Yule. And for those of you that were at Cascadia Moot, you've had that wild boar. And it changes a little every time I make it. I try to do a little bit more to make it even better. And, all accounts say this was the best year yet. But this year, I got it from the same place, but a lot of times it's wild boar, but it's, farm-raised wild boar. They've got a nice big enclosure, and they're well taken care of. They don't have to worry about predators and stuff, and they're fattier than you would expect an actual wild boar to be. Well, this year what I got was 16 pounds of shoulder meat from a feral pig. And it was delicious. The flavor's a lot different when the animal's feral. But the problem is this pig must have been absolutely just like the jacked, ripped, scares everybody on the block pig. There wasn't an ounce of fat on that thing. The only salvation for it was the fact that I was able to put a lot of butter into the marinade. So, but yeah, no, it was still a good time. Josh was there.
I was there. It was fantastic.
He was there. It was a good Yule. My tribe grew. I had 2 thralls from the last year that were elevated to full members, and I acquired a new thrall, which is fun.
It's something.
You know him, don't you, Josh?
Not very well.
I heard he's an asshole.
Well, he tries to be.
But
sometimes he fails at it.
He fails more often than he realizes. But
oh no, he realizes just how often he fails. He just keeps trying.
We're going to help him with that. So I want to make sure that for all of you who don't know him, introduce you to Stone Shore's newest thrall. Josh.
Hi, everybody.
Josh has made the mistake of joining my tribe. And it'll be a mistake for about a year. And then we'll see what happens.
Yep.
It's so much fun. Now, he is still the boss on Heathen Talk. I will throw that out there. That was an important thing. Heathen Talk has always been his. And that doesn't change just because, he's made a poor decision. But outside of Heathen Talk, there's stairs.
We had the conversation in the car, but at the same time, like, just to revisit it, it is really weird to be at this point in my life being a heathen, where I've been a mod on the subreddit for a long time. I'm friends with some really well-established heathens. I've established myself leading a podcast. And now I'm a thrall?
I should point out that during that
weird.
I should point out during that same conversation, I also pointed out that you could tweet. Right now, so I'm going to ask that question.
Oh, somebody's calling in or something.
Something's happening.
Okay, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
All right, awesome. Well, I'm here.
It doesn't look like Heathen Talks in. It still says join.
Oh, crud.
Now it says Heathen Talk is in twice.
Yeah.
Well, that's because she has her computer and the server computer.
Oh.
It was like the whole time. Now let's see. Are we actually broadcasting? That's the question.
Did we ever stop broadcasting?
No.
I think. Did we not?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Heathen Talk. We have our shit together.
We're goddamn professionals.
There we are.
I think we're live again. So if we dropped out for any of you, you'll forgive us. We had a few technical difficulties, which, considering we weren't planning on having an episode at all tonight, you should just go ahead and quit your bitching that we were off air for 2 minutes.
You know, I've never actually seen anyone bitch about our technical issues. In fact, the harshest comments I got were from the one episode of our additional show, which we're still trying to do, but nobody seems to want to ask us questions for it. Where they're like, the production quality on this is shit. And I'm like, it's the first time I've ever done it, so back the fuck off.
Well, I think the reason nobody complains is because every time we have a technical difficulty like that, as soon as we're back broadcasting, the first thing out of our mouth is, quit your bitching about our technical difficulties. So nobody bitches.
I see.
It's a preemptive strike.
My theory is if you're not actually doing a podcast, you can't really bitch at us.
There is that.
It's true. I did have somebody email me recently about how for only $1,000 they would consult with us on how to make our podcast better.
I remember that. That was I had a good long hearty belly laugh over that. Spent the last 2 years having various people from my drinking buddies on up to actual master brewers at breweries, local
Not to
breweries
mention
right now,
Heathen Talk fans.
and Heathen Talk fans telling me that I need to do a podcast about beer. So I'm doing a podcast about beer, and I have roped Josh into producing it for me, and he's also going to be on it. Spent the last 2 years having various people from a few other people my drinking buddy met, including my friend Dan Lombardo, who would never be caught dead on Heathen Talk because he is a filthy baby-eating atheist, but we like him anyway. And he's also a brewer and knows his shit. But we'll be putting that out there soon. I'm hoping to have this first episode. It's going to be pre-recorded. We're not going live with this one because that's just too much trouble. Believe it or not, guys, it is a lot of trouble for us to do this thing live every week.
Especially with the changes YouTube made.
Yeah.
So Heathen Talk has enough backups where if Lauren has to take off, I know how to host it.
I don't.
Well, you don't know much of anything.
I don't. I know beer, though, which is why I'm doing this other podcast.
Torrent, you know, it would be really awesome if one of these days you, I don't know, learn some Heathen Talk stuff. We need to back up to the backup. Also, I'm probably about to switch back because I'm echoing like crazy.
I am more than happy to find you a backup to the backup. I don't think I'm a good choice for that. There's a reason I'm not producing my own podcast because I know my strengths and weaknesses, and that is definitely something I would classify as a weakness. But out, it dropped your feed out and server feed out.
But now
Okay.
Heathen Talk is back.
Now it says we're back. We're broadcasting from your end, Lauren.
Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. I didn't know it was going to cut you guys out when I switched over.
No, that's okay. That's okay. I mean, you had to deal with the echo because it was noticed by Robin.
Trust me, I'm having to deal with a local echo.
Yeah. Anyway, my computer just randomly updated in the middle of the show, so.
Thank you, Windows.
No better time for it to happen than our meta episode.
Yeah, definitely. At least it was like our tonight episode.
Right.
Yeah.
So, anyways, all I was saying was that we're going to be starting this new beer podcast soon. It's going to be called Blue Collar Beer Snobs. We're going to do several segments in each episode. We're going to do brewery interviews with brewers at breweries and owners of tap rooms. For this first episode, which I hope to be recorded soon, and possibly, I'm not committing to anything. We might be able to maybe get the first episode on the air sometime late January. We're going to be doing a face-off between two breweries that one we all know and love, and one you have never heard me drink a single bottle of their beer on air because they're terrible.
But I've drank a few.
He's drank a few because they're from Oregon and he hates himself. We're going to do a face-off between Dogfish Head and Rogue because both of them make really weird off-the-wall beers, and the difference between them is that one of them does it well.
I would like to say one thing real quick, and this is for Lauren. I am severely disappointed in Rogue because they are a hipster brewery that does not make a gluten-free beer. Right? The fact that I have a friend who needs gluten-free beer and the hipsters of Oregon are not creating it offends me greatly.
You know, the thing is, though, like, I wouldn't care who does a gluten-free beer or doesn't do a gluten-free beer. The thing is, do you do a gluten-free beer well? And that's the thing. There are apparently one in the entire universe, because Torrin is the only person I've ever heard say, this is a
good gluten-free beer.
Yeah, because, I mean, holy crap.
For those of you living at home, that's Ghost Fish Brewery in Seattle. And I'm going to make sure to stock up on at least a little bit of that. I know Lauren's not a huge beer fan because she hasn't had the opportunity to be one. But I'm going to pick a selection of the Ghost Fish brews and let Lauren try them at this year's Cascadian Moon if she's able to come out.
I'm gonna say this, and this is, but okay, so all of this stuff that's going with like okay, I had the last time I had gluten-free beer, we went to the Melting Pot. For those of you who are not familiar with what the Melting Pot is, it's a fondue place. And our appetizer course was a really cool, like, cheese fondue. And they're like, oh, we can do it gluten-free. So they bring out gluten-free bread and all kinds of cool stuff. And I'm like, yay, this is awesome. And I'm excited. And they bring it out and they make it with this Red Bridge gluten-free beer, and it just ruined cheese. It ruined everything. I'm just like, mother trucker.
It's terrible.
I mean, not only was it bad beer, but it was beer that, like, got ruined cheese as well.
You know, it's like when you came out last year, we took you to the Queen Anne Beer Hall.
Yeah.
Which was good. You loved that. And we love it. We keep going back to it. But it was a really hard decision not to just take you down to Ghostfish because I know they do gluten-free food as well.
But Queen Anne was pretty good. The Riesling I had there was really good, so I can't complain.
Right? Didn't you have one of their ciders too?
Yeah, I think so, but it didn't stand out to me nearly as much as the Riesling did.
Okay, fair enough.
I will say I'm super excited that one of our local breweries here, Stone's Throw, is doing hard cider.
Nice.
And they're doing hard cider growlers. So they have a program where you buy a growler and then you can go fill it up. You just take it back and trade it in and get a clean one. And so one of these, probably next week, I'm going to try to go get one before New Year's and drink that and enjoy it.
Right. Is anybody doing crowlers around you?
Possibly, but I'm not hip on the... I'm not...
It's a growler, but it's a can. They seal it up.
No. Because most of the places that are doing growlers here, are filled when you... It's like...
Right.
Yeah, but cans I've never seen.
Same thing. There's smaller breweries that have canning lines are getting these very large cans, and they'll fill it for you and then seal it on site.
No, because we don't even have none of the smaller breweries here use cans. Yeah. Everybody bottles. So
it's. I mean, honestly, I'm not surprised. Even the canning thing is relatively new and uncommon here for small breweries. They're getting into it because if you can make the initial equipment investment, it's cheaper to can than it is to bottle.
Yeah.
And also, it's more ecologically friendly. And we're nothing but environmentalist hipsters up in Seattle.
I just don't like canned beer.
I used to say that, and then I discovered that my prejudice was just because most of the companies that used to do the canning were just making bad beer.
Well, but I mean, there's some ciders that I drink that you can get in cans or you can get in bottles, and I just much prefer the bottles.
That's weird.
And it may just be because I like given the choice, I'd rather have a bottled Coke.
Right.
Glass makes the experience of drinking from glass is just better.
Yeah, I'm actually really interested in trying this one. I brought it up because I've got a crowler sitting on my bar right now. It was a gift for Yule. I'm probably going to open it up probably in the end segment of the new podcast whenever we do that. And the reason they brought me this Yule gift is that this is my brewing group, the people that I do my home brewing with. And we do a lot of brewery tours when we can. And we went to a brewery on the east side in Bellevue called Go. And that's the French version of Go, so it has way too many letters. It's Geaux. They have like a Bourbon Street thing going on in there.
Yeah, when you're, even if you're like in Louisiana, when you see like Saints, New Orleans Saints stuff or LSU stuff, they spell Go like that. That's a very New Orleans thing.
So, this brewery called Go. They're really good. And the thing is, we went for our brewery tour there, and when we do our brewery tours, we always do it the same way, is we get a flight, which for those of you that are unfamiliar with beer terminology, a flight is where they take these small taster glasses, usually 2 to 4 ounces, and they will give you, on a board or a tray of some sort, they will give you like one of everything that they have on tap. So we went to Go and we got the flight. We always do that. We pass them around, we taste them, and then at the end of our flight, we always order each of us individually order a pint of whichever one we like the best. And it is no secret on this show that I despise IPAs. Can't stand IPAs because nobody makes them well. They suck. And usually when we go and we do these flights at breweries, we'll get the IPAs out of the way first and then get some water to cleanse our palates because none of us are fans of IPAs in this group. And then we'll move on to the rest of the beer, which is hopefully good. Well, there is a series of pictures out there, which is definitely going to go up on whatever website we create for the new podcast, that shows this beer breaking me and then making me reevaluate the nature of reality. You can see it in my face. as I'm drinking this beer. It was a triple IPA, and it's phenomenal. We got done with our flight, despite the fact that there were like another 4 or 5 beers on that flight that I would have said were really amazing beers. That one was the one that I ordered a pint of, a triple IPA, me. So, my friends for Yule, they happened to be down in the area. They stopped at the brewery. They got me a crowler of this triple IPA, which is called Sax. And it's exactly as in, SAEX, the blade type. And it's amazing. And so I think that, because I'm going to talk smack on IPAs during that podcast. So I figured in the first episode, I should probably drink one that I think is good, show people that I am fair. I don't dismiss the entire subtype.
This is Heathen Talk.
Right?
Not a beer podcast.
But it's also our meta episode.
Yeah, but we're going to talk Heathen stuff now.
Why?
Because I want to.
Because I want to. Because
okay, boss.
Because he's the boss, and I don't want to talk about beer the whole hour because I'm not a big beer drinker. Oh. Sorry.
But Heathen stuff is fun.
We did get the first episode of Sheathen re-recorded this week, so we'll be getting that edited and out right after the first.
What else? Stuff. Sorry guys, this last week has been just murder at my job. It started out so Monday and Tuesday I was supposed to have a weird shift where I work from 8 to 4:30, right? I was in training. I came into work Monday at 8, did half a day of training, then they discovered there were 300 calls holding. So I've been miserable all week. So my brain's dead. But we did have some interesting conversations start up in some of the social media circles that we all share. Lauren, you have a post that you haven't published yet. But
No.
You want to talk about it?
Basically, I went in and I traced the actual history of why the hammer right came into being and why, when it was initially evolved into practice, it was considered historically valid. And then, what we have learned since that has changed that. And talk a lot about how, in some ways, our use of the hammer right is very much due to pop culture history. Not unlike, people complain about the History Channel and what their so-called history is, And if someone were to watch the History Channel and not be familiar with, anything, they would think that history was aliens. You have Margaret Murray, who was an Egyptologist and folklorist in the early 20th century, who came up with this idea about the witch cult of Western Europe. And I rant about this quite frequently. I actually really enjoy ranting about it because it pisses me off that one woman's idea with no backup pretty much became gospel truth taught in universities. So even though at the time when she put this thing out that there was a universal matriarchal witch cult pre-Christian times in Europe, she was criticized at the time by other historians who were like, no. But it happened. It went forth anyway. So pretty much our entire neo-pagan New Age movement has been built on this incredibly bad history. And long story short, really her witch cult of Western Europe thing, when you look under paganism and witchcraft up until the late 1960s, was in the Encyclopedia Britannica. It was taught through the 90s in history departments at universities. So, when the people who were kind of the first group of people who are trying to build these practices got started, Wicca, which is based on her work, was considered a historically valid religion. And so, we have this missing pieces of how we do ritual. Well, here's this other, religion that's supposedly pretty historical and correct. And so we're going to use them to fill in the pieces. And yeah, that's how we ended up with the hammer right. And, people...
Sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, the reason I mentioned it is because there was recently some confusion, because heathenry has two hammer-related things that we all tend to dismiss, which is the hammer rite for one, and then the hammer hallowing. And when that came up, most people ignored the conversation that was taking place. It is a really interesting thing, because if I remember my heathen history correct, the hammer hallowing came after the hammer rite, was initially a reconstructionist answer to the hammer rite.
Kind of.
The hammer hallowing wasn't necessarily valid.
Right. It was sort of people really reaching on interpretations after reading the saga of Heathen the Good.
Here's the thing: the hammer hallowing, for me, it's one of those things that it's something that, I'll be honest with you, it's included in the practice that I have been taught, and I kind of think is not necessarily a bad thing comparatively to the hammer rite, which is the hammer rite, which is super, like, there is nothing, at least with that, they're within that story with the howling. There are other examples too. It's just, cannot remember. Hang on. I have like a whole, because I was working on an article on this too, so.
I think you could draw the conclusion, or even make the argument that of the two, the hammer hallowing is at worst a neutral action, whereas the hammer rite is adopting essentially Wiccan and Crowley or Hermetic practices and trying to make them heathen.
Well, you also have to look at, what are you saying with the hammer rite and with hammer hallowing in a semiotic sense, is you're almost, depending on how you do it, and I've seen it done in multiple ways, so I'll admit that not all of it is the same way, but oftentimes the way I see it done, it's investing the power of sanctifying a space within a person, within a man, which is sort of sending the wrong message.
And see, that's not at all how it's used within my particular experience and how we do it. The hammer hallowing is something that you do.
No.
That was a joke, Lauren. I was saying.
We were talking over each other, so I have no idea what you said.
I said, wait, there's regional differences?
That's why I was like being quiet to let you talk, because I thought we were talking at the same time. For this with the hammer hallowing, it's something that we do to an offering to signify that this is an offering. This is something that we are setting aside and making sacred for someone else, the gods, the ancestors. It's not done like, we're going to hallow the hammer and then pass it around. No, we pass it around, or we fix the plate, we hallow it. The idea is it's something that marks that as sacred, something that marks that as set apart. Right.
And it's like I said, it does get done differently. That's why I try to qualify the statement with, depending on how it's done. I've seen variations in how it's done. And often enough, especially in the tribes that I've seen do it in this region, and most of them don't do it anymore. But it's often placing the agency of hallowing into the power of man. And yeah, it's an entirely different scenario, and that's one of the reasons that we try to discourage it.
Did you freeze again, Laura? No, you didn't.
No,
Okay,
no,
it's like
I think she's just looking at me in complete disbelief that people would actually do that.
No, actually, I was trying to find this other thing that I was looking for. Anyway, the thing with, and it's very different. It's just going to depend on where you are and what you're doing and who you're working with. As far as other heathens, and I'm gonna put this out here though. If and I've said this before, but we have kindreds in this area who have been kindreds for 20 years. And you know what? They do the hammer right, or they do hammer hallowing. And I kind of look at it this way: when you've been doing something for like 20 years, it develops its own meaning and its own tradition. And I figure if they're doing it for 20 years and it works for them, I'm not going to go, I'm not going to argue too much about them doing their, when they're getting results and they're, a kindred that's been around that long. I just have a very hard time disparaging a kindred that's been doing something for that long, especially when 20 years ago it was like still being taught. The witch cult stuff was still being taught. I just have a hard time, like I said, I just have a hard time saying.
So we've been doing this show for 2 years, right?
Yeah.
And one of the themes that I've attempted to keep within our purview is that there are certain things that we will straight out call wrong. There are certain things that we will admit that we don't know, but at the same time, what you do, what is the tradition of your inner yard, is not my business and is beyond my reproach. Right up until you walk into my space and say it's how it's supposed to be done.
Right. I'm not going to tell another tribe, that's been doing the hammer right for 20 years not to do it. I am, however, going to tell new people not to do it.
Yeah. Oh, and that's the thing. I'm all for that. It's just, I think that we have to, one of the problems that I've seen lately in general in heathenry that really is, I guess the longer I see it, the more I get pissy about it. And it's this idea of people thinking that their answer is infinitely going to be the best answer. And I'm going to tell you you're doing it wrong, but I'm totally also open to you coming in. If somebody gives me new evidence, I'm willing to change my mind. But right. There's this attitude from some people that this elitist attitude that I feel like eventually is going to cause them to fall, because no one will admit these people won't admit when they're wrong, and they want to beat their idea into everyone else until it becomes, until my heathen practice is in their ideal world, everyone does heathenry exactly like they do.
Well, Lauren, this is where you and I exist in a different space than most of the other, and I'll borrow a term here, grognards. You and I are both more, well, come on, say it, we're more liberal. I come from an anarchist background. You have a Wiccan education in theology. We tend to be kinder and more. The way I put it when I was talking to Kevin was, heathenry at the moment is existing in this quasi space between a frontier religion and a settlement religion. And so you have people who are fighting this frontier style battle where they're trying to establish a civilization. And you have people like you and I who are like, no. It's time to build towns and roads and shops. So calm down and be nice to one another, or I'm going to put my foot up your ass.
And I think to me it's not even that. It's the simple fact that I have been around a long time. I have been around the block in many different venues, many different organizations. For the most part, heathen communities operate so similarly to the kind of communities of people that play D&D that I feel like I kind of handle people the same way. Because let me tell you what, heathens and their arguments are nothing compared to you get a group of D&D players together to discuss what's the best edition of D&D.
And there's always that asshole rules lawyer.
Yeah, so to me, it's a situation where I'm going to sit here. My thing is I've watched this. I've watched this discussion. I've watched it in Heathenry I've watched it in Heathenry since it was on Usenet. So I'm old, okay? I am the oldest person on Heathen Talk now. And I'm just going to lay this out here.
Assume my age.
I know how old you are, Josh.
I identify as a 50-year-old man.
Okay. So, I'm looking at this and saying, okay, what we're doing right now, this bickering and yelling at each other, it didn't work 10 years ago. It didn't work 15 years ago. And it's insanity to think that it's going to keep working now. I have learned, and believe me, I was really good at it on our meat hall. Holy crap, I could yell you under the table. And now I'm just like, it's not working. So I think Heathenry's got to look and say, and to the people who think it's working, great. But I can tell you that I've been Heathen longer than you have. It's not working. Because all the people I meet who tend to be that way have been Heathen less than 5 years. And I'm just like, no, it's not working. It's really not working, guys. And you need to, I understand people get frustrated, but I'm at the point now, if you're getting frustrated, get off the internet. Take a break. That's what I do. But, I've gotten to the point where I've really pulled away from most online communities at this point because it's not worth the energy to argue with people who it's like wrestling with a pig. You both get dirty and the pig enjoys it. And if that means I don't have this uber internet reputation as a heathen, I don't fucking care.
Lauren, you're a host on an internet podcast.
Yeah, but I don't spend hours and hours a day arguing on Facebook groups.
I do, but usually not about heathenry.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't argue about...
I haven't logged into Facebook other than Messenger in so long, I don't even remember how.
I have it because I answer stuff on Facebook. We do get messages, and I also, there are things on Facebook that I'm involved with that it's a really great platform, like local stuff. Our local heathen group is great. The Sheathenry, we have a group for Sheathenry that it's people who were basically in the book, and we kind of have this group. Or, I'm involved with a group of pagans who are involved in something that I'm doing right now, which is kind of this experiential project of veiling, which, if that's what you're wondering, if you're watching the podcast tonight, yeah. I'm wearing actually a pretty traditional Norse headdress tonight in a modern form. There's some great to be had from it, but at the same time, it's just like...
For me, what killed it was the fact that it was an election year. I just realized that if I was going to have any friends come January 7th, I needed to log out of Facebook and stay logged out.
Oh, see, I've managed to unfollow every single political meme site that gets posted to Facebook. So really the only updates I see anymore from people are legitimate updates and funny stuff that's not political. Because let me tell you what, unfollow is the greatest thing in the world. Because I can go, you don't have to unfollow a person. If somebody's posting something from there's a guy that I know who posts a whole bunch of stuff from Alec Jones's website.
Oh, Alex Jones, he's my favorite.
And so rather than having to see that, I just unfollowed that site. And now anybody posts anything, it's, anybody posts anything from those sites, I just don't see them. And then it's not an issue because I don't have to deal with it.
See, whereas I just long ago came to the conclusion that every single person I know in this world, no matter how much I love them, no matter how much I respect them, no matter how intelligent they are, is dreadfully, woefully, and ridiculously wrong about at least one thing. And as a result of that, I can much more easily deal with them being wrong about that one thing. Say a great example is a friend of mine that I've been arguing with today that he's one of the smartest people I know. He's one of the most kind, gentle people I know. He's got advanced degrees, and he has absolutely no business whatsoever talking about any subject that even tertiarily touches the military. But he does on a regular basis. And I spend part of my day today telling him why he's wrong and he should be ashamed.
But what did that accomplish?
It accomplished him getting not only my opinion as somebody that he knows has direct experience where he does not. It accomplished the fact that he respects me, and he knows that I don't talk out of my ass on things most of the time. And he also saw other people that read through our conversation coming in saying, maybe you're wrong about this, dude. And it's eventually going to bring him around to a position where he's going to change his view. It does actually accomplish something.
But you know him.
Mm-hmm.
Versus if I'm in one of these giant heathen Facebook groups, because there used to be one with
people, they don't matter.
Yeah, 10,000 people. That's what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah, no. Those people are nobody. They've not in any way, shape, or form proven that it's worth even listening to the words that come out of their mouth. I'm part of a few of those large, online heathen communities, and I tend to follow the conversations and not bother to comment because I trust that there's, enough people in that conversation that are going to get to it before I do, that are going to say what needs to be said. And the person that's saying the stupid things is not worth my time or effort because they are nobody.
Well, but then the other thing is that this is the pattern that I see over and over again. Someone says something stupid. Somebody jumps somebody's ass for saying something stupid. Person who says something stupid leaves before any real information is transmitted to them, therefore rendering them less stupid.
Shame culture is reinforcement of community mores.
I don't even know if it's shame culture. If I'm being honest,
it's not shame culture.
We're into a couple of things, and this is just a reality of the world we live in. We have people who are too grumpy for their own good, meeting up with people who are too sensitive for their own good, in spaces where you can't get to know someone on a level like, okay, example from my own personal experience. When I first joined the Reddit community, I said some stupid stuff, and I had my shit jumped.
Because Josh is the Lord of the Potted Bay.
But I stuck it out because that's my personality. And I stepped in it as bad as some of the people recently who have been on the subreddit and disappeared. But at the same time, if I hadn't had that personality, I never would have learned and gotten to this point, Well,
I'm going to say, two things on this particular subject. Number one, for every 100 useless, worthless cases there are that aren't going to ever learn a damn thing, there's one Josh. And that one Josh makes it worth it.
But my thing is, go ahead.
Well, see, the second thing is that you always, whenever you're in a debate of any sort, whether it's online or whether it's in public, you're never, or you're very rarely, are you actually debating the person you're debating with. You're debating with the audience. You are setting up an argument for the audience to hear. And for every individual that jumps into that conversation and says something stupid or says something worthy, there are 40 other people that are watching that conversation and following that conversation that are learning. And that also makes it worth it.
But let me bring up an example in recent times. Somebody asks a question on a community. It doesn't really matter which one, because pretty much all the big ones operate like this. And immediately gets absolutely just raised. And it's a legitimate question.
By the way.
Yeah, just raised by people, being just horrible. When they asked a question that, honestly, if basically they went into a heathen subreddit, because if you read on people who practice Asatru sites, Asatru is heathenry, whereas people who tend to differentiate the two feel differently. So their education up until this point has been, hey, this new age stuff is heathenry. And rather than somebody saying no and like actually explaining this to them in a sane and rational manner, they just get, there's no constructive content coming from anybody. And that's where I have an issue. It's not the debate. It's literally when there's no constructive content at all. It's just, fuck you Wiccan and all that kind of, that kind of stuff. That's where, that's the point that I'm getting irritated at, is when it just becomes like, it just becomes just assholery with no content.
Maybe I frequent different groups than you, but in my experience, usually when I see those sort of things pop up, usually all, or I won't say all, but a good chunk of the first responses are attempts to actually educate, which are then met by the original poster doubling down, and that's when people start to get, angry at the stupid. And personally, I've got a lot of sympathy for that.
No, and that's different. I'm talking about, like I said, it may just be a difference of where we hang out, but they're like...
I mean, if you come to me and ask for my opinion and then tell me my opinion's wrong, I'm going to tell you everything that's wrong with you as a person and why you should never communicate with anybody ever again.
See, whereas if for me, if you're going to tell me my opinion's wrong, I'm going to be like, well, bless your heart, and I'm done with you. I mean, there's no need for me to tell you what's wrong with you, because if my opinion doesn't mean anything to you, do you get what I'm saying? It's like...
So let's be honest here, Lauren.
Yeah.
Telling someone bless your heart is a lot worse in Southern circles than telling them everything that's wrong with them.
Right.
But it's also...
Fuck you.
But yeah, exactly. But that's the same thing. Rather than telling somebody what they're wrong, that's basically, it's the equivalent of saying, go fuck yourself. It's the same thing. I would say, well, go fuck yourself and have a nice day and be done with somebody. The point is,
explicit.
I wash my hands of these people. And I'm done with them.
Which a meta episode wasn't going to be rated explicit.
Yes.
So, Lauren.
Uh-huh.
I just want to say, since it is Yule, I appreciate the fact that you help out so much with the subreddit, and I apologize that this year I haven't been around as much to do some of the work with you.
Well, here's to a new year, and new chances, and new stuff, and me not taking 18 hours.
That's per week of school, right?
Yeah, 18 hours in school. I was working full time and doing all the podcast stuff.
Yeah.
Now do you understand why I was like starting to have a nervous breakdown?
I understood. I just didn't realize you were taking 18 hours of school.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Well, I needed to take 18 hours, so I had all the prereqs, so I could take the classes I need to take this spring semester, so that I can take the 2 classes I need in fall to graduate next year.
I need to go back to school.
And we'll talk about that. But yeah, I think it's hard, and I think I love doing it, but at the same time, it does kind of hit a point where I just feel like, oh my goodness, this show is a job. It really is.
And we've chosen to do this episode pro bono for all of you. I want you to know that.
Yeah.
I mean, and I mean that, aside from the fact that, every other week it's free for you mooching bastards that listen. I'm talking about we didn't even have to be here this week. We just did it because we hate ourselves and want ourselves to suffer.
I'm mostly doing it because I've been home for 2 days and I don't know, like, I don't have school, I don't have work. I've been to the gym way more than I should.
So, Laura,
And there's nothing on TV.
I'm going to go here for a second. The shock mount that I got, I know that's on your wish list. Have you gotten it yet?
I don't know.
Okay, don't buy it.
Okay.
If you don't get it for Yule, I will buy it for you for Yule.
Thank you, Josh. That's sweet. I won't get my parents, like, I won't open presents till the 27th.
Right.
So.
Just let me know if you get it.
I appreciate
if
it.
Not, I'll make sure you get it.
I appreciate it. I will say my husband, he and I had a budget this year for Christmas because we bought a new couch. Like, guys, I'm just going to brag on myself for a minute. And this is such a, like, mundane brag. But my husband and I went out and bought furniture that didn't have to be put together, that was custom ordered and brand new. I've never had a brand new couch, ever.
Neither have I.
You know,
I recently picked up something from the curb.
I am almost 40 years old and I've never had a brand new couch.
I will have you know, I once spent a year and a half sleeping on a mattress that I picked up on a curb.
Oh.
So
Ugh.
I know, right?
That's
a low point.
Yeah, so my husband and I,
my wife is looking at me like she's reconsidering marrying me. After that.
So my husband and I, you know, we bought furniture. So we put a budget on our Christmas this year, and I stuck to it, and he didn't. He bought me probably $50 worth of really, really, really nice yarn, and I got to open that for Yule, and oh my gosh, that was so great. I'm not even gonna lie to you guys.
God, I would love to talk about what I got my wife for Yule. We haven't exchanged gifts yet.
Oh man, I still haven't opened all of them, but those are the ones we exchanged for Yule, and I got yarn. And you know, for those of you, you know, I could talk about yarn the same way that Torin talks about beer, and it's kind of funny, you know, we recorded that episode of Heathenry this week, and one of the things we talk about are the Yule taboos around fiber work, and I'm hoping that we can get Kat Heath on to talk about the cult of the spinning goddess, because that is, you know, as a woman who's a heathen, who's very into fiber arts, that's like, you know, I don't think it's something that someone who's not a fiber artist can understand just how deeply spiritual fiber work is to a heathen woman who does this, because there is this theory that is pretty sound, and I tend to buy into it, that certain magical practices when heathenry, and I'm not talking practice, I'm talking theory. So I don't want to like get into an area I don't want to talk about, but I don't want to sound like a hypocrite who says we don't talk about magic. But there was this theory, and it's a historical research kind of thing, that some of these magical practices are allegory for spinning. So
spinning yarn, right?
Well, yeah, spinning fiber into thread.
You could just spin in a circle, but that's the wrong region, wrong religion.
Yeah, no, this is like actually spinning, like, and that's something I really need to, I don't want to like pick it up and try to do it till Yule is over, because there are particular taboos involved with that. But I don't do any spinning at all during Yule. But other people, you know, something that just trying to throw this out here because it's interesting. There are other people who actually do zero fiber work during Yule. And I buy into, I don't do fiber work during, like, if I do something during Yule, I start it and finish it during that period. Otherwise, if it was start beforehand, I don't pick it up until after Yule. But some people don't do any fiber work during Yule.
Right, yeah. Well, I don't do any fiber work during Yule. But then again, I don't do any fiber work outside of Yule, so.
I mean, to me though, if I had to stop knitting, I might stab someone, and I'm going to see my parents tomorrow. Yeah, I have to have some knitting or something.
Lauren, do me a favor. Don't stab your parents.
Please don't.
I can't handle it if you go to jail.
Yeah, I won't stab my parents.
But that would ruin things for me.
Yeah. I can't stab, I'm not going to stab my parents, but I need something to keep my hands busy. And I think better when I'm...
Like a good guy.
Yeah. I think better, I have ADHD, and that's actually very therapeutic when you have ADHD.
What, stabbing people?
No, having something to do with your hands. Like knitting or having like a fidget toy.
Stabbing people.
Stabbing people.
Yeah, stabbing people. I have to admit, there's been a bit of schadenfreude of this Yule season going on with me because my tribe does observe a Yule piece, and it's been hurting Josh because he joined right at the beginning, and now he has to deal with that, and he does not work in an industry where keeping the Yule piece is easy.
I'd just like to point out, I ranted a little bit around Thanksgiving about customers, right? The day after Thanksgiving, the calls were bad, and I was very confused as to why people were even bothering to call to be with your family. But speak up leading up to Christmas, I understand that even less. This is like supposed to be the overculture's time where everybody is trying to do their best to get along. And it wasn't even the customers I was upset with. It was coworkers. I wanted to throw things at people. I told my boss that I wanted someone fired the week before Christmas. Like, I was in a dark place. It was rough.
Well, as my husband and I both noted today and throughout this week how just terse and aggressively people have been driving. We actually had a rather sad and I'll be honest, I'm pretty disturbed about it. Road rage incident not far from my house where someone got mad that an elderly woman was driving too slow. And so when he could get around her, he pulled up and shot into her car and killed her 2-year-old grandson.
Oh, Jesus.
So,
Okay, so I know we have this whole Yule piece thing, but I'm going to say this on air. Some people should be taken out of the gene pool.
hey, his family turned him in.
Damn straight.
Good for them.
Some people just need to be shot.
But yeah, I mean, the point is, like, it's just been this super, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's just the weird weather we've had, but this has not been a good, it's just not been a good.
The Yule piece only applies unless there is violence that needs to be done.
What, so you have the Texas Yule piece?
I mean, if there is violence that is needful.
It's a strict needful definition, not so much the Texas definition.
Not the Texas
needful.
definition of needful, but the real definition.
The Texas, there's the defense to murderers he needed killing, just for telling people who don't know that joke.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think
People
it's
need killing.
Well, you see, Your Honor, what happened was he came onto my property and he talked weird.
oh well, case dismissed.
Yeah. He obviously needed some killing.
Yeah. So guys, we are getting towards the end of our time here. If you've listened to all this,
I'm so
thanks.
Welcome, everybody.
I'm not even sure this one's going in the archives. But
I'm gonna download it and edit it and add fun sound effects and
okay, I'm okay with that.
It'll be the one episode that has a Foley.
Yeah. Our website is heathentalk.com. Go there, like us, send us email. You can always get a hold of us. It's our first name at heathentalk.com. We will be coming back and we will be off next week. No New Year's Eve show because I have tribal obligations. I don't know what they're doing.
All go to hell.
Yeah. We'll be back in the new year with new Heathen Talk, new Java Malls because I'm going to duct tape Ben to a chair and make him do some more episodes.
Yes, that should be the new logo picture for Java Malls. Ben duct tape to a chair with an IV drip of coffee.
Yeah.
Out
And
there, they're listening. Give us a Ben duct tape to a chair with an IV line of coffee, please.
All 2 people are listening tonight.
yeah. And
Thanks, Robin. We love you.
Heathenry. And we'll have a lot of really cool stuff. So thanks, you guys, for a great year. And yeah, I don't know, Josh, you normally close this thing, not me.
I would like to say that may luck visit all your houses this Yule season, and may the wild hunt pass you unmolested.
And in the spirit of Yule, I'm not even telling you you're doing it wrong or you're not the boss of me. Just have a great holiday and enjoy your time together.
Have a safe and blessed Yule, everybody.
Good night.